The alien city stood under the shadow of 3 moons, its towers glowing with cold blue light. But inside the sacred chamber, silence ruled, broken only by the sound of heavy breathing. On the stone bed lay the alien girl, her eyes closed, her body trembling. She was young, her skin shimmering with faint silver lines, but her face showed pain that no medicine had cured. Around her, elders whispered in despair. For many seasons, her people had tried everything. Machines of steel and crystal pressed against her sealed orifice, but nothing opened it. Healers with long hands touched her body, chanting prayers, yet the lock inside her remained closed. Even the strongest warriors had failed, leaving her weaker each day. This orifice was not just flesh, it was tied to her life force, and if it stayed shut, she would die. The elders had gathered in the council, their voices low with shame. "She is the last daughter of our line," one elder said, his horns shaking, "and we cannot save her." Another replied, "We must call for help, even from outside our kind." That was how the human was brought in. He was not a warrior, not a healer, not a priest, just a traveler, a mechanic who had fixed broken engines and patched leaking ships. His name was Daniel. When he entered the chamber, the aliens laughed quietly. How could this soft-skinned creature succeed where their science had failed? Daniel felt out of place. The smell of incense burned his nose, the alien eyes staring at him made his heart pound. "I don't think I should be here," he muttered. But the elders pushed him forward. The alien girl opened her eyes. They were bright, glowing with faint light, full of pain but also a flicker of hope. She whispered, her voice weak, "Please, try." Daniel froze. He had seen machines break, ships explode, people cry in despair, but he had never seen such fragile beauty mixed with suffering. Something inside him shifted. He stepped closer. His rough human hands looked clumsy against her shining skin. He felt her warmth, felt the strange barrier under his palm. It was alive, almost like stone wrapped in muscle. It pulsed once, then tightened, rejecting him. The elders gasped. "See, even the seal rejects him." Daniel pulled back, sweat dripping from his forehead. "It's not about force," he said slowly, almost to himself. "Sometimes it's about patience." The alien girl's lips trembled. "Everyone else only hurt me. Please, don't leave me like them." He nodded. "I won't." Daniel placed his hand again, softer this time, letting his touch adjust to her body's rhythm. The orifice shivered, then resisted, but he didn't force it. He closed his eyes, listening, breathing with her. Minutes felt like hours. Outside, the chamber, the crowd grew restless. "This is madness," one elder hissed. "A human cannot unlock what even our ancestors failed to open." But inside, something was happening. The sealed orifice pulsed again, this time slower, weaker. Daniel whispered, "It's listening." The alien girl gasped, her body arching. "It moved. I felt it." Daniel leaned closer, his voice steady, calm. "I need you to trust me. Don't fight it, just breathe." Her fingers curled around his wrist, holding him with surprising strength. Her eyes shut tight, tears slipping down. "It hurts. I know," he said softly. "But pain means it's breaking." The orifice glowed faintly, a dim light spreading across her lower body, lines forming like cracks in glass. Daniel's hand shook, but he didn't let go. He had repaired engines that screamed and groaned before bursting to life. This felt the same. Fragile, dangerous, but possible. The chamber air thickened. Energy hummed in the walls. Elders outside pressed closer, their long ears twitching at the sound of vibrations. "Something is changing," one whispered. Inside, Daniel's face was pale with effort. "Just a little more," he muttered. His hand pressed, guided by instinct, by stubborn human will. The alien girl screamed, her body arching high, then collapsed back, sweat dripping down her silver skin. But through her cries, her voice carried, One word. Continue. Daniel obeyed. He poured every ounce of focus into that single spot, his breath matching hers, his body trembling with hers. And then, there was a sound. A crack. Soft at first, then louder, like stones splitting under pressure. Light spilled out brighter than before, casting sharp shadows on the chamber walls. The alien girl gasped, her eyes flying open, glowing brighter than ever. "It's opening," she whispered. Daniel staggered but refused to stop. The glow spread further, the barrier weakening. He knew he had only touched the beginning of the secret. Outside, the elders stared in disbelief. It cannot be. The human. He is truly opening it. The chamber shook as the sealed orifice quivered like a lock ready to snap. Daniel gritted, his teeth sweat pouring, his heart hammering. "This is only the start," he whispered to himself, his eyes fixed on the impossible task. The secret was no longer locked alone. It had chosen him. The chamber was still glowing faintly when Daniel stepped back. His chest rose and fell heavily, his hands shaking. He had done something no alien had achieved in years. He had made the seal crack. But instead of cheers, silence filled the room. The elders outside looked through the glass barrier. Their faces twisted with disbelief and suspicion. Daniel wiped sweat from his brow, his mind racing. What am I even doing here, he thought. He wasn't a healer, wasn't some chosen hero. He was just a mechanic who fixed broken pipes and tuned old engines. Yet here he was, standing in front of an alien girl whose very life depended on him. The girl's voice, weak but clear, broke the silence. "Don't stop, please." Her silver skin glistened with sweat, her chest rising in shallow breaths. She had fainted earlier, but now her eyes shone like twin moons, desperate yet trusting. Daniel felt something stir inside him, but with it came a heavy wave of doubt. "What if I hurt her?" he whispered. His hands hovered above her trembling body. "What if I push too far and she breaks?" The elders caught his words and seized them like prey. One of them slammed his staff against the floor. "You will kill her if you continue. A human does not understand our kind. You should step away," another added sharply. "It was a mistake to bring him here," he cracked. "The surface, yes, but that may destroy her instead of saving her." Their words cut deep. Daniel clenched his fists. They weren't wrong. What if this wasn't a miracle? What if he had only damaged something sacred? He had seen machines fail because of his mistakes before. Wires melted, engines caught fire, fuel lines burst. But this wasn't a machine. This was a living, breathing girl. Daniel stepped back, shaking his head. I shouldn't, I'm not supposed to be here." The alien girl suddenly sat up, her eyes locking onto his. Her voice was hoarse, but it carried weight. "No one else touched me like you did, no one else listened. They only pressed harder. They only made me scream." Her words struck him like a hammer. He remembered the way she had gripped his wrist, the way her body responded not to his strength but to his patience. Still fear gnawed at him. "You don't understand, I'm human. We break things more than we fix them." The girl shook her head, silver strands of hair sticking to her damp face. "But sometimes, breaking is the only way to open what's shut," the elders muttered, angrily. "Blasphemy. The human will doom us all." But the girl's hand reached out again, trembling yet determined. She took Daniel's hand and pressed it against her glowing seal. He felt the warmth again, the strange living resistance. His heart pounded, he whispered, "If I continue, there's no turning back." She looked into his eyes and said, "Then don't turn back. Just keep going." Daniel closed his eyes. Memories of his life rushed through him. Nights fixing engines, under pouring rain, days when people cursed him for being slow, the countless times he had been told, "You're useless." He had always carried doubt like a second skin. And yet here was someone who believed in him, even when he didn't believe in himself. The seal pulsed under his palm, almost as if mocking his hesitation. He breathed deeply, forcing calm into his body. His voice dropped to a whisper. "All right. I'll try again." He pressed, not with brute force, but with steady rhythm, syncing with the girl's breathing. The chamber filled with low vibrations, the glow returning, brighter than before. The elders pounded at the glass wall, shouting, "Stop this madness! The chamber will collapse." But Daniel shut them out. All he heard was the girl's strained breathing. All he felt was the pulse under his hand. The seal resisted, pushing back against him, but he didn't give up. He adjusted, slowed down, shifted pressure, like tuning a stubborn engine. Sweat rolled down his neck, his arms burning with effort. The girl bit her lip, her body trembling. Tears slid down her cheeks, but her grip on his wrist tightened. "Don't stop. Please." Her trust fueled him. He leaned closer, whispering, "Then I won't." And then for a moment, everything went still. The chamber, the elders, even his own doubts, all faded. There was only the rhythm between him and her, only the glow of the secret slowly yielding. A spark burst from the seal, lighting the chamber. The elders gasped. Daniel's hand jerked back, but the girl held it firmly. "Don't let go," she cried. He swallowed his fear and pushed again, harder this time, with every ounce of strength he had left. The glow flared, filling the chamber with a blinding light. Daniel's mind screamed with doubt. What if I destroy her? What if this kills us both? But he did not stop, because for the first time in his life, someone truly needed him. The chamber doors sealed shut behind Daniel and the alien girl, locking them away from the eyes of the restless crowd. The heavy sound of metal sliding into place echoed like a final warning. Once inside, there would be no interruption. No one could come to rescue them if things went wrong. Daniel's breath slowed as he looked around. The chamber was round, its walls carved with glowing alien runes. Strange machines hummed quietly, releasing streams of blue vapor. The air was thick and heavy, almost alive. At the center lay the girl on the sacred bed, her body trembling, the glow from her sealed orifice casting faint light across the room. She looked at him, her silver eyes flickering. "This is where you must continue. The chamber will test you." Daniel frowned. "Test me?" She nodded weakly. "It reacts to the one who tries, it pushes back. The harder you fight, the harder it resists. That's why they failed. They all forced it." Daniel stepped closer, wiping his palms on his trousers. His hands felt clumsy and human compared to the smooth alien machines around him. He had no special training, no holy power. Just scars, rough fingers, and stubbornness. Still, he placed his hand on her body once more. The seal pulsed under his palm, and suddenly the chamber roared to life. The runes glowed brighter and the air grew hotter. The floor vibrated as if alive. Daniel jerked his hand back. "What the hell?" The girl gasped, sweat breaking across her brow. "It knows you are here now. The trial has begun." He looked around as the walls shimmered with strange lights. Images formed on the stone, visions of alien warriors screaming in pain, healers falling to the ground, machines exploding into shards. All who had tried before were shown failing, crushed by the trial. Daniel's chest tightened. Doubt gnawed at him again. "I'm not ready for this. I shouldn't even be here." But then he heard her voice, trembling yet strong. "Please, don't stop. You're different. You didn't hurt me. You listened." Daniel clenched his jaw and nodded. "All right, let's finish this." He pressed his hand down again. The seal pulsed hard, as if rejecting him, sending a shock through his arm. Pain shot up to his shoulder, making him grit his teeth. It was like pressing against fire. The girl cried out, arching her back. "It's fighting you." "I know," he grunted, holding firm. "But I've fixed worse things than this. Engines that screamed and broke apart. Machines that tried to kill themselves. I can handle it." The seal trembled violently, sending another shock through him. Daniel fell to one knee, his hand still on her. He felt his bones rattle, his skin burn, but he refused to let go. The girl's hand reached for his, clutching his wrist tightly. Her eyes glowed brighter. "Don't fight it with anger. Sink with it. Let it feel you." Daniel sucked in a shaky breath. He closed his eyes, trying to push past the pain. He slowed his breathing, forcing calm into his racing heart. Instead of fighting the seal, he began to match its rhythm. Every time it pulsed, he exhaled. Every time it resisted, he steadied himself. Slowly, the shocks dulled. The fire turned into a low hum. The seal wasn't pushing him away anymore. It was listening. Daniel whispered, "That's it. Come on, work with me." The girl gasped, her body trembling but her face relaxing. "It's responding. You're reaching it." The walls of the chamber shook again, but this time the runes glowed warmer, no longer hostile. The visions of failure faded away, replaced by faint whispers like voices long forgotten. Daniel opened his eyes. Light was seeping from the cracks of the seal, brighter than before. He felt it quiver under his palm, like a lock ready to break. But just as hope sparked in his chest, the chamber shifted. The floor split open, releasing streams of burning vapor. The air became heavy with heat, choking him. The trial wasn't over. It had only changed form. Daniel coughed, covering his mouth. "Damn it. It's trying to kill us." The girl shook, her head, her voice weak but steady. "No. It's testing you. The chamber was built to break all who are unworthy. Only one who endures can succeed." Daniel squinted through the steam, his body drenched in sweat. His lungs screamed for air, but he pressed his hand harder against the glowing seal. His voice cracked, but his words were firm. "I didn't come this far to give up now." The girl's tears glistened as she whispered, "You're the first one who ever said that." The seal pulsed again, this time softer, almost like a heartbeat syncing with his. The chamber quieted slightly, the steam pulling back. For a brief moment, silence returned. Then, with a sudden burst, the seal cracked wider. A beam of light shot upward, striking the ceiling. The whole chamber shook violently. Daniel gritted his teeth, sweat pouring down his face. "It's close, just a little more." The girl clung to him, whispering through the chaos. "Don't stop, Daniel, you're the only one who can." And in that moment, he realized something. The trial wasn't just about breaking a seal. It was about breaking himself, tearing down his fear and doubt until only his will remained. Daniel pressed harder, his body trembling, his voice a growl. "Then let's finish this." The trial had only begun, but the secret was starting to open. The chamber burned with a low red glow, cracks of light spreading across the floor like veins of fire. Daniel's hand was still pressed against the alien girl's sealed orifice, his arm trembling with the effort to hold steady. Every pulse from the barrier sent jolts of pain through him, like lightning crawling under his skin. The girl's body shook with each surge, her silver skin slick with sweat. She bit her lip to stop a scream, but a sharp cry escaped anyway. The sound echoed through the chamber, piercing Daniel's chest like a blade. "Stop this," one elder shouted from beyond the sealed glass wall, his voice muffled but furious. "She cannot take more, the human will kill her." Another voice, older and calmer, replied, "Yet she still clings to him. Can you not see? She chooses him." Daniel shut his eyes tightly, his teeth gritted. His muscles burned, his knees threatened to give out, but he held his ground. "Just hold on," he whispered, his voice hoarse. "We're almost there." The girl turned her head toward him, her glowing eyes filled with both pain and trust. "It hurts more than anything," she whispered, trembling. "But you don't let go. You don't leave me." Her words struck deep. Daniel thought of all the times in his life when people had abandoned him. Captains who threw him off their ships after mistakes, friends who stopped calling, family who said he would never be enough. He had been left behind so many times, and yet now, here, was someone depending on him, someone begging him not to leave. "I'm not leaving," he said firmly, tightening his grip. "Not this time. Not ever." The seal pulsed again, harder this time, sending shockwaves through both of them. The girl screamed, her nails digging into the stone bed, but she didn't push him away. Instead, her hand reached for his wrist, holding it tightly as if anchoring herself to his strength. Her voice broke between sobs. "They all gave up. They all hurt me. But you, why do you stay?" Daniel's throat tightened, His voice cracked. Because I know what it feels like to be left alone, and I won't let you feel that again. The glow from the seal intensified, spreading across her body in glowing lines like veins of light. The chamber walls vibrated, runes shifting into new patterns. The air thickened, filled with an almost living hum. Daniel could feel his strength slipping. His vision blurred at the edges, his muscles screamed, but he held on. Every second felt like an eternity. The girl gasped, her tears falling freely now. Daniel, I can't. It's too much. He leaned closer, his forehead nearly touching hers. His voice was low but steady. Yes, you can. You're stronger than you think. Trust me. Her eyes widened at his words. She had never been told to trust before, only commanded to endure, to obey, to suffer. But Daniel's voice carried something different. Not command, not demand, just faith. For the first time, she nodded through her tears. I trust you. The seal shuddered violently, as if reacting to those very words. The light cracked brighter, beams shooting upward. The elders outside gasped in shock. Daniel's body jolted as a surge of energy passed through him. His mind flashed with strange visions. Endless stars, ancient wars, cries of alien voices he couldn't understand. He gasped, nearly pulling away, but the girl's grip held him in place. Don't let go, she cried, her voice desperate. He swallowed hard, forcing himself to stay. I won't. The chamber shook harder, dust falling from the ceiling. It felt like the whole world was collapsing around them. Daniel pressed harder, every ounce of will pouring into the task. The girl screamed again, but this time it wasn't only pain. It was release. Her body arched, her glowing veins spreading across her entire form. The seal quivered, glowing white-hot, cracks spiderwebbing across its surface. Daniel shouted through clenched teeth, "Just a little more. Come on." The girl's voice broke into sobs, but her eyes met his, wide with unshaken trust. "Daniel, please. Finish it." His body screamed for rest, but her faith gave him strength he didn't know he had. He leaned in, pressing with the last of his strength, his vision blurring completely. Then, it happened. A sharp crack echoed through the chamber. The seal split wider than before, light flooding out in blinding waves. The girl gasped, her body trembling violently, then suddenly relaxed, her chest rising in a long, deep breath. Daniel staggered, nearly collapsing, but her hand still held his wrist. Even as her body glowed with new life, she whispered weakly, "I trusted you and you didn't let go." Daniel smiled faintly through the sweat and exhaustion. "Told you I wouldn't." Outside, the elders were silent, their eyes wide with awe. None dared speak, for they knew the truth now. Trust had done what power never could, and inside the chamber, as the glow settled into her veins, Daniel realized something. This was no longer just her trial. It was his too, and together, they were breaking it. The chamber was trembling like a living beast, every rune on the wall burning with fierce white light. Dust rained from the ceiling, and cracks spread across the stone floor. Daniel's body felt like it was being torn apart, but his hand remained pressed firmly against the girl's glowing seal. Her body shook violently under his touch, silver veins flashing brighter and brighter with each pulse. She screamed, the sound raw and piercing, echoing through the sealed chamber. Daniel wanted to cover her ears to shield her from the pain, but he couldn't let go. If he did, all their struggle would be wasted. "Daniel," she cried, her eyes glowing like molten silver. "I can't. It's too much." His teeth clenched so hard his jaw ached. "You can. Don't you dare give up now. We're so close." Outside the chamber, elders pounded on the glass wall, their voices rising in panic. "The chamber will collapse. Stop him before he destroys us all." But no one could enter. No one could reach them. It was just Daniel and the girl, alone in the storm of light and sound. Daniel's arms trembled, his muscles screaming for release. His breath came in ragged gasps, but his mind sharpened with one single thought. Don't stop. Every second of pain, every shock that tore through him only made him push harder. The girl's nails dug into the stone bed as she sobbed. Why won't it break? Why does it fight us? Daniel leaned closer, his forehead nearly touching hers. His voice was hoarse but steady. Because nothing worth saving ever comes easy. Her tears glistened in the blinding light, and she looked at him with raw trust. Then don't let me die here. He shook his head, fierce determination burning in his eyes. Not happening. The seal beneath his palm pulsed harder, sending a shockwave so strong it knocked him onto one knee. His vision blurred, black spots dancing in his eyes. His body screamed to let go, but he slammed his free hand against the ground and pushed himself back up. Not yet, he growled. I'm not letting some glowing lock beat me. The chamber roared louder, the runes twisting like flames, heat pressed against them, suffocating as if the room itself wanted to crush them both. The girl arched her back, a scream tearing from her throat. Her body glowed so bright it was almost blinding. Her veins of light burned like fire trails across her silver skin. Daniel, she cried, her voice breaking. He tightened his grip on her, his own voice rising in defiance. I'm here. I'm not letting go. Pain seared through him, white-hot and merciless, but he leaned into it, welcoming it, using it. His mind remembered every time he'd been pushed aside, every time someone told him he couldn't. And now, this was his answer. The seal cracked again, a deafening snap echoing like thunder. A bright beam shot into the ceiling, shaking the chamber violently. Daniel's heart pounded. He could feel it. It was close, just one final push. But the girl's body suddenly went limp, her hand slipping from his wrist. Her eyes rolled back, her breathing shallow. Panic surged in him. No, no, stay with me, he shouted, shaking her lightly. Don't quit on me now, she whispered faintly, her lips barely moving. I trust you. The words cut through, his fear like a blade. He felt something ignite inside him, a fire hotter than any pain the chamber could throw at him. He pressed both hands onto the glowing seal now, ignoring the agony ripping through his body. His voice rose in a roar that shook the chamber. Open, damn you! The seal exploded with light, the cracks spreading wider, glowing veins racing outward like lightning. The chamber walls shook so violently that even the elders outside fell, back in terror. The girl gasped suddenly, her chest heaving, eyes flying open with a radiant silver glow. She cried out, half scream, half breath of life, as the seal beneath Daniel's palms shattered into blinding brilliance. For a moment, everything froze. The light hung in the air like stars caught in glass. The chamber fell silent. The roaring stopped. Daniel collapsed forward, his hands trembling, his chest heaving. He was half conscious, his vision spinning, but he felt it. Something had changed. Something impossible had finally broken. The girl's hand found his again, her grip weak but steady. Her voice was soft, almost carried by the glow itself. You did it. He let out a weak laugh, collapsing beside her. No. We did it. But even as relief spread across his body, a new sound filled the chamber. Deep, low, ancient. A voice, not human, not alien, but something older than either, echoed from the glowing cracks. The seal is broken. The awakening begins. Daniel's heart froze. He looked at the girl, her glowing eyes staring back at him in equal fear and awe. This wasn't the end. It was only the breaking point. The chamber was no longer silent. The moment the seal cracked wide open, a flood of light poured out, drowning every corner of the room. The runes on the walls flared like stars, shifting and rearranging themselves into new patterns. The ground pulsed beneath Daniel's knees, alive with strange energy. He could barely see. His vision swam in white fire, but he could still feel the girl's trembling hand clutching his. Her skin, once cool and weak, now burned with heat, alive with power. Her chest rose and fell sharply as she gasped for breath. Each inhale seemed to shake the air itself, filling the chamber with echoes that weren't her voice but something greater, something old. The elders outside had fallen to their knees, their horns pressed against the glass wall, Their voices were hushed, full of awe and fear. It is done. After all these centuries, the seal has opened. Daniel staggered back slightly, his palms red and raw from the effort. He wanted to collapse, but something kept him upright. A pull, like invisible threads tying him to the girl and the light that now surrounded her. Her eyes snapped open. No longer faint silver, but blazing orbs of white light. She looked at him, and for a moment Daniel swore she wasn't just herself anymore. Something ancient was looking through her. "Daniel?" she whispered, her voice layered with tones not her own, as if a chorus spoke with her. "You broke the lock. Now the opening begins." Daniel swallowed hard, his throat dry. Opening? What exactly? The runes on the walls flared again and the ground split, revealing deep channels filled with glowing liquid energy. It flowed like rivers around them, humming with power. The air grew thick, almost too heavy to breathe. The girl rose slowly, no longer weak and fragile but strong, radiant. Her body glowed from within, every vein lit like molten silver. She stood taller than before, and though her legs trembled, she did not fall. Daniel stared in shock. "You're changing." She looked down at herself, her voice shaking. "No, I'm awakening. The seal didn't only trap me, it trapped what I carry inside." Daniel's stomach twisted. He remembered the elders' fearful whispers, the way they had spoken of her as the last daughter of the line. He thought the seal was just about her survival. But now, watching her glow with power, he realized it was something much larger. "What's inside you?" he asked, his voice low. She met his gaze with glowing eyes, fear flickering beneath the light. "A power meant for my people, a gift, or a curse. Only one who was not of us could unlock it." Daniel froze. "That's why they called me. That's why nothing they did worked. They needed a human." The girl nodded slowly, her body trembling as more energy poured out of her. The chamber shook again, louder this time. Cracks spread across the walls, chunks of stone breaking loose. Daniel rushed to her side, steadying her. "You're going to tear this place apart." She gripped his hand tightly, her voice desperate. "If I don't release it fully, it will consume me. But if I release it all, it might consume everything." The weight of her words hit him like a stone. He looked into her glowing eyes, her face still hers but barely. For the first time, Daniel wasn't just afraid for her. He was afraid of her. But he didn't let go. "Then we do this together, one step at a time." The girl closed her eyes, tears mixing with the light on her cheeks. "Why do you keep saying that? Why do you stay, even when you should run?" Daniel smiled faintly, though exhaustion tugged at every muscle in his body. "Because that's what humans do. We stay stubborn, even when everything says we should quit." The chamber roared louder, the glowing rivers rising higher. The air turned electric, sparks crackling across the stone. Daniel's hair stood on end, his skin tingling with static. The girl screamed suddenly, arching her back as a surge of energy burst from her chest. A wave of blinding light exploded outward, slamming into the glass barrier. The elders outside shielded their faces, shouting in terror. Daniel shielded her with his body, bracing against the storm. His ears rang, his vision burned white, but he didn't let her go. When the light finally dimmed, the chamber was unrecognizable. The runes were gone, the machines melted, the air thick with smoke. Only the girl remained, standing in the center, glowing like a living star. Her breathing slowed, her body shaking. She fell to her knees and Daniel caught her before she hit the ground. She whispered weakly, "It's open now. The power is free. But this is only the beginning." Daniel looked around at the destroyed chamber, then back at her glowing form. His heart pounded. If this is the beginning, what's coming next? She leaned against him, her voice soft but trembling with dread. Something far greater than us. Something that has been waiting behind the seal for centuries. Daniel's grip on her tightened, his exhaustion forgotten as fear settled deep inside him. He thought the fight was over, but now he realized this was just the opening. Smoke lingered in the chamber like a heavy fog, glowing faintly with sparks of energy. The walls that once held ancient runes were shattered, their power drained into the girl's body. Daniel coughed, his lungs burning, but he kept one arm around her, steadying her trembling frame. She was glowing less now, the blinding radiance dimmed to a softer silver, but her veins still shimmered under her skin like molten threads. Her eyes flickered open, weak but alive. "You stayed," she whispered, her voice hoarse. Daniel managed a tired smile. "Told you. I don't leave." Before she could respond, the chamber rumbled again. A deep hollow sound echoed, as if something vast had stirred beneath the ground. The broken seal glowed once more, spilling light into the cracks. From the depths of the chamber floor, a presence emerged. Old, heavy, suffocating. The elders, outside, fell silent. Their faces were pale, their eyes wide with fear. One of them whispered, "The Guardian. It awakens." Daniel's stomach tightened. He wasn't finished yet. The seal wasn't just a lock on her body. It was a prison for something else. The girl shivered in his arms. "It's coming. If it rises fully, our world will burn." Daniel lowered her gently onto the stone bed. "Then I'll keep it down." She caught his wrist, her glowing eyes desperate. "No, you'll die." He squeezed her hand. "Then I die trying. But I won't let it take you." The cracks widened, and a monstrous form began to push through, shadows twisted with light, a creature of energy and stone, its voice like thunder. "Who dares break the seal?" Daniel stood, his body trembling from exhaustion, but his spirit burning stronger than ever. "I did." The creature's glowing eyes fixed on him. "A human, fragile, weak, short-lived. You think you can resist me?" Daniel's lips curled into a smirk, despite the fear pounding in his chest. "Fragile? Maybe. Weak? Not today." The Guardian roared, sending a shockwave that shattered what was left of the chamber walls. Daniel staggered but planted his feet firmly, refusing to fall. Behind him, the girl whispered, "Daniel, you don't have to do this alone. The power is mine now. Let me help you." He looked back at her, her body glowing faintly, still fragile from the awakening. He shook his head. "You just came back from the edge. Don't burn yourself out again. I'll handle this." She clenched her fists, tears in her glowing eyes. "But you're only human." Daniel turned to face the Guardian, his shoulders squaring. "Exactly." The creature lunged, its massive form crashing through the chamber. Daniel braced himself, diving forward with every ounce of stubborn will left in his body. He slammed, his hands into the glowing cracks of the Guardian's chest, the same way he had pressed against the girl's seal. Pain shot through him instantly, worse than anything before. His bones screamed, his muscles tore, but he gritted his teeth and shouted through the agony, "You're not coming through, not while I'm here." The Guardian shrieked, its body shuddering under his grip. Daniel could feel the energy burning him alive, but he didn't let go. He pushed harder, the way he had with her seal, sinking. His heart beat with the creature's pulsing energy. The girl's voice rose behind him, trembling but full of faith. "Daniel, you can't fight it alone unless you trust me too." Her words cut through the storm of pain. He remembered her tears, her screams, and her trust when she had begged him not to let go. And he realized, this wasn't only his fight. It was theirs. He shouted back, "Then take my strength, take it all." She rose to her knees, her body blazing once more. She pressed her glowing palms against his back, channeling her power through him. Their breath synced, their energy fused, and for one burning moment they weren't alien and human. They were one will, one defiance. Together, they pushed. The Guardian roared louder, its massive form fracturing. Cracks spread across its body, light bursting out like molten fire. It tried to resist, but their combined force was relentless. Daniel's vision blurred, but he didn't falter. You're not stronger than us. You're not stronger than me. The girl's voice joined his, fierce and bright. And not stronger than us together. With a final deafening crack, the guardian shattered, its body exploding into shards of light. The chamber fell silent, the energy dispersing into faint sparks that vanished into the air. Daniel collapsed to his knees, his body trembling, his skin burned and scarred. The girl caught him before he fell completely, her arms wrapping around him tightly, her glowing eyes softened, tears sliding down her cheeks. You really did it. You saved me. You saved us all. Daniel gave a weak laugh, leaning into her shoulder. Guess humans are good for something after all. The elders outside slowly entered the ruined chamber, their expressions filled with awe and disbelief. One of them bowed low. Only a human could have endured. Only a human could triumph. The girl held Daniel close, whispering so only he could hear. I trusted you and you never let go. Now I'll never let you go either. Daniel closed his eyes, exhaustion finally pulling him under. But his lips curled into a faint smile. He had faced the impossible and won, not with strength, not with power, but with sheer human will. And across the galaxy, the story would spread. The sealed one opened by human hands. The guardian defeated by human will. This was his triumph. This was humanity's triumph.